Do y'all think that the better team won, or was this just a bad game?
They got a cloud hanging over their head.
You execute when you're supposed to execute, and we didn't do that. They were the better team in that game.
Welcome to Pigskins and Pageantry. Last week ended up being a lot more exciting than it looked on paper. We'll recap a few of those, interview a guest who I'm excited to talk to, and make our picks for some games that reflect that we're into the meatier portion of the schedule. But first, let's hear from Jesse. How are you doing?
Doing a little better. Certainly living a little larger now that we didn't lose.
This is always good, no matter who your opponent is. Matt, how's it going with you?
I'm panicking because everything doesn't make sense anymore. And if like last week, our show was, the title of what was the title last week's show, Wes?
Gosh, I forgot.
How do you forget you program these things?
I know, right, man? There's so much going around in my head.
Wes,
stuff gets pushed out of my brain.
It was, do we need to panic?
Do we need
and
to
the
panic?
answer is yes, you need to panic. A lot of crazy stuff this week. A lot of crazy stuff going on. The place is the world is a weird place now.
It really is.
Nothing makes sense. I feel this past week gave me shades of 2007, and I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for that yet, because that was a rough year for anybody in the top 25.
And now you got the madness that is college football with NIL and transfer portal on top of the madness and the playoff on top of the madness that's going on the field.
Craziness.
So, all right, well, let's go ahead and recap a small number of those games.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
All right, so there were a few last week that, like I said, didn't look super exciting on paper, but ended up being kind of exciting. One of those was Kansas at Missouri. Missouri ended up winning this one 42-31. I got the point here. I would like to point out that Mizzou had two 100-yard rushers in this one, Jamal Roberts with 143 yards and Ahmad Hardy with 112 yards. Kansas actually led this one 21-6 at the end of the first quarter. Then Mizzou scored 15 unanswered in the second to tie it up. Second half was kind of back and forth until Mizzou kind of pulled away at the end with a couple of touchdowns late in the fourth. Matt, I always want to get your feelings on Mizzou. So what were your thoughts on this one?
Listen, when this game really got rolling, I was like, what is going on? Drinky didn't circle the wagons. Apparently it wasn't Toughness Tuesday, or Leadership Saturday, or, I don't know, Collaboration Friday. I don't know, whatever he wants to come up with for that week. But it looked kind of rough for a second there. And then all of a sudden in the second quarter, Missouri got mad. And started playing lights out. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, they outscored Kansas, 36-10 after you get out of the first quarter. They put up almost 600 yards of offense in that game. Yeah. That's obscene. I was really surprised at how they kind of thundered back into it. And, historically speaking, I don't have good things to say about Drinky, but I mean, he turned it around. I mean, he really got him going. So kudos to him for getting a win over the Kansas Jayhawks. Yeah. I don't know what a Jayhawk is.
You knew the answer. You knew what it was. You're just being,
I'm being funny.
Jesse,
that's what they pay me to be, is funny.
What were your thoughts, Jesse?
I mean, I think Matt hit it mostly on the head, but the other thing is just watching those penalties, right? Mizzou had 7 penalties for 70 yards. Gentlemen, we can't be doing that. That's a lot of yards. But then again, they held possession for a little over 40 minutes.
That's unreal.
That's insane. And I guess, I mean, they had almost 600 yards of offense, so it makes a little sense there. But overall, I mean, they converted on third down when they needed to. They were 10 for 19, so 50%. But clearly, they came out where they needed to. So it may not have been Collaboration Friday, but they were there for, I don't know, stick with your man Saturday, whatever you want to say.
You're trying to be alliterative, weren't you?
I'm
Um,
not good at this.
I see.
I'm
That's why I didn't bother. I just said Collaborative Friday and
I'm
and
no
right,
you
right,
know
right.
English.
Leadership Tuesday and
Um, all right, yeah, that was an exciting one. Let's quickly move to Ole Miss at Kentucky. Ole Miss winning this one 30-23. I got the point here. Lane Kiffin gets revenge against Kentucky on the road in a game where Kentucky actually looked much better than they did against Toledo, at least. I'll give them that. Still hard to get a good idea about both of these teams, though. Jesse, let's start with you on this one.
I mean, I'm gonna stick with this sort of theme here of like, gentlemen, what are we doing with penalties? Mizzou had 7 for 86 yards. Kentucky had 6 for 50 yards. That's a lot of penalties, young men. Also, their third down conversion for both teams was abysmal. It's very hard to
Pretty
win a
bad.
football game when you're not converting on third down. I mean, Ole Miss was 3 for 13, and then Kentucky was 5 for 16. What Anybody want to guess what drills we're going to be practicing, what plays we're going to be practicing this week? Because I'm really hoping for both of them, it's converting on third down. It sure as heck needs to be. Ole Miss had 2 turnovers as well. So yes, they were able to kind of sneak this one out. But again, that was a little bit of sloppy football that we were playing on Saturday. So we got to clean that up, guys.
Matt?
Kentucky continues to confuse me. I mean, we're so far away from a couple of years ago when it looked like they were turning the corner, that they were going to be a dark horse candidate to win the SEC every year. And just the last couple seasons, they've really fallen off. Now, granted, it's Ole Miss. It's a pretty good football team. They stuck with them. But it's just very confusing. I don't know. Still can't get a good read on it. You said it a second ago, Wes. We don't know what this Kentucky team looks like. We don't know if they're good or bad. We still kind of have to see what the rest of the season shakes out at. You watch, they'll probably be awful and then beat Tennessee. God, don't put that voodoo in the ether. Why did I say that? So another stat that we kind of glanced over real quick was, and I think this might have played a part here in the reason why those 2 turnovers for Ole Miss is Ole Miss had 5 tackles for losses, and you get them into those long yard situations, that could play a problem. Not to mention that Zach Calzada didn't have the best day in the air. 15 for 30 for 149 yards. That's not very good stats, and that's usually an indication that things aren't going the way you need them to. So, and then their running back McGowan had 15 carries, 15 carries for only 93 yards. Granted, he got 2 touchdowns, but it's still not a great day at the office.
I think
Ye-
Kentucky is comfortable and complacent. I mean, it's one of those schools that you're coaching at, and you don't necessarily have the same pressure that you have at a
Hmm.
Tennessee, a Georgia,
They're a
an
basketball
Alabama.
school. They
You're
don't have
saying
to really.
Exactly. And so when they do well, it's like, oh my God, yes, this is amazing. But when they don't do as well, you're like, oh, it's fine. It's
yeah, yeah.
what we expected. But I have a feeling with the way that the landscape is kind of changing in college football, that may not slide as much anymore.
Especially when they're looking south and they're like, well, hey, Vanderbilt's doing good things.
Vanderbilt, like,
Vanderbilt ain't played
Vanderbilt.
nobody yet. Let's hold off on crowning Vanderbilt the best team
I'm
ever
just saying in
until
general, they've
they
done
play
decent the past
somebody.
few years, but
right.
yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, they've had a little bit more success than Kentucky has. I'll give them that.
Yeah. All right, let's move to South Florida at Florida. South Florida pulling off the upset
Gators.
18-16. Matt,
Are
you and I were
y'all
watching
okay?
we were watching this one together
They're
and
not.
when they were driving down and had I think it was that last catch that got them further down the field and basically they ended up putting themselves in position for that short field goal. I was like, man, they're going to pull this off. This is nuts at home or in the swamp. Uh, and USF is like just on a ranked team destruction mission as they beat Boise State 34-7.
They're
Granted,
not
I
as
know it's Boise
bad.
State.
They did that to Auburn a couple of years ago too on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
plains, didn't
They
they?
hung with Alabama for 3 quarters last year.
Yes, they did.
Um,
We almost lost.
yeah. And
I mean, they're not as bad as everybody would think just looking at like
no,
correctional school.
right. Yeah, they are apparently on a mission. And I thought Florida or South Florida would keep this game close, but I never thought they'd pull off a win in the swamp. I think I even talked about that when we were making our picks. I was like, this is at the swamp. That kind of cinches it for them, right? Well, apparently not. But in this game, South Florida just hung around, played tough, held Florida on defense, and gave themselves an opportunity at the end. And boy, did they capitalize. So, and we were also talking about Alex Golesh. He's got this team looking like it can hang with pretty much anybody right now. I would also like to add South Florida got paid $500,000 to beat Florida.
Good for them.
So what there's icing on the cake, right? Matt, what are your thoughts on this one?
Um, like Jesse said, Florida, are you guys okay? I
Yeah,
mean, I when we were talking about this game last week, part of my very like buried deep like reptile brain went, maybe South Florida can find a way to pull this off. I
right.
mean, I thought about them playing Bama real close last year, and it's like maybe we know Alex Golish is a good coach. I mean, he's turned South Florida into a team that's definitely got a reputation at this point. And it's only his third year. I would be shocked. I would be, and I'm going to go on record as saying this right now. I would be shocked if he doesn't have a big conference offer on the table next year.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely floored. I do have a couple things for you. I'll talk more about one of these players when we get to helmet stickers because I got one for him. But let's talk about Sunshine Billy. Billy Napier right now is 20 and 20. 20 and
Yeah.
20. Let that sink in. 20 and 20. He's played 40 games total. He's gone 20 and 20. To give you some ideas about what we're looking at with that across the board, Dan Mullen in his first 40 games went 31 and 9. Jim McElwain, who got fired before game 40, went 22 and 12. Will Muschamp went 24 and 16, and Urban Meyer went 31 and 9. Doesn't look good for old Sunshine Billy, and they've got a very, very, very tough upcoming home schedule and away schedule for the rest of the season. So it's
That's what
not
your
looking
thoughts?
good.
So that is just
You
when
you
I
summed
read
it up
that,
right there.
when you put it in the text and I read that, I was like, oh no. And then my immediate first thought was, what does he know? Right? Like, what is it that Billy Napier knows about the Florida athletic program that is saving his job right now? Like, what tea is he holding on to that anytime somebody walks past his office and they're like, Bill, we need to talk. He just like holds up his phone and just like shows a screenshot of something. Like, what is the screenshot? What is the tea? Bill, I want to know what you're holding over them. I need to
Yeah,
know. Um,
got
but
something.
again, I mean, this was speaking of 2007, this was a 2007 score, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a defense score, but not a defense really, because Florida had 11 penalties for 103 yards. Hello. Okay. South Florida, 9 penalties, 75 yards.
Wait, hold on, Jesse. Let's go back. Including that 15-yard personal foul for spitting in the guy's face
Right.
Did
on
you?
on third down
He
for
had to
on the
have
last
watched.
drive.
He
Oh
had
my
to have
God.
watched the Cowboys Eagles game. Like, it was just like, that's a great idea.
That happened before the Cowboys Eagles game.
No, Cowboys Eagles was on Thursday. It was Thursday
That
Night
was
Football.
Thursday
Was
night.
it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
I missed
So
that. Oh, yeah.
he saw it and he was like, let me just baptize this young man with my spit. Like, so you can't do that. It did not work out well for the Eagles. But again, third down conversion, 4 for 12. 4 for 12. I'm not great at math, but like, that's a small fraction. So I think Florida is going to have a come to Jesus meeting this week because Billy's going to sit them down and he's going to be like, listen, I can only hold the screenshot over their head for so long. Okay. You guys have to save my job again. You did it last season. You have to do it again.
Do something.
And hopefully they can.
It's going to be an interesting story to watch for sure because the stats don't lie. So let's speed ahead to Arizona State at Mississippi State.
I
Mississippi
told
State
you
winning this one.
so.
You did. You did. Mississippi State winning this one 24-20. Jesse, the only one to pick Mississippi State in this one. Now, look, Mississippi State got off to a blistering start in this game, going up 17-0 in the second quarter, and then Arizona scored 20 unanswered to go up 20-17 in the fourth. And then at that time was when the unthinkable happened. With around 30 seconds to go in this game, Blake Shapen connected with Brennan Thompson on a long pass, and Thompson broke away from the secondary. I thought he was going to run into the ref for a second when I was watching that because the ref was like desperately trying to run at an angle and get away from him. But he scored the touchdown while Mississippi State fans lost their collective minds. I'm sure maybe a few cowbells were destroyed in the madness Saturday night, just in sheer excitement of ringing them. Jesse, your thoughts on this one?
I was so happy for them. They're undefeated right now. Good for
Yep.
them.
Embrace it.
Yeah, hold on to it, babies, while you can. Okay, you needed this. I'm so excited for them. It was much like many of these games that we're at least talking about, not the ones that we're just going to read the scores for, but so many of these games were close and good on them, right? I mean, again, we've got some sloppy football being played across penalties, not converting on third down. I think across the SEC, we're gonna be practicing third down conversions. And if we're not, you should. And also 0 for 2 on fourth. You hate to see that. But I'm excited for Mississippi State. I hope that this will build some momentum for them, help them to start getting some confidence, because it can't be easy to hear everybody say that they're gonna not do well. So hopefully this starts to build that camaraderie for them and they're able to carry this over. They do have somewhat of a tough schedule, but they beat a non-directional school.
A top 25 team at that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Zona State was like 18, right? Or 17. I mean, they were in there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
They're not there now, but they were there at the time.
Yep. Your thoughts, Matt?
I just think this is a good win for Mississippi State. You know, they have had a very tough road to hoe over the last couple of years, and things have been steadily kind of going down. This is something you can be proud of if you're a State fan. I think they earned this one, so I say kudos.
No doubt. Yeah. All right. The last game that we're going to talk about, Michigan at Oklahoma. Oklahoma winning this one, 24-13. Jesse, get the point here.
Thank you, Brady.
Matt, you said while we were watching this game, you said that they're really laying the lumber in this one, and boy, were they! Both teams really hitting each other hard, not wanting to give up any big plays. I have to say I was pretty impressed with OU's defense. They got a really good defense, which is no surprise with Brent Venables. But now, and I texted Brady and told him this, now they might have a dangerous offense to go with it. And if that happens, could be a little bit scary for anybody playing OU. Matt, what do you think?
Again, it all comes down to Mateer and his play. I mean, Kid by himself had 344 of the 408 total offensive yards. Kid's pretty good. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks once we get into conference play, how that's going to stack up. I'm not ready to say Oklahoma is a contender or if they're going to be great. But, you know, to go toe-to-toe with the Wolverines, who, you know, are just a couple of years off a national championship, that's pretty good. They had that advantage with home field, but, I mean, they kind of iced them in that second half. Michigan couldn't really get anything done at all. So, big win for Oklahoma.
For sure. Jesse?
I mean, I think Matt hit most of it on the head there, but OU was one team that didn't struggle as much on third down, had less penalties than everybody else. It's gotta make them feel excited because they're hearing so much hype about Mateer. We obviously saw it last week. They did fine. You know, they won. It's great. But going up against a blue blood like Michigan, you do feel like you're going to be tested a little bit more. You're going to start to have to see, what is this team made of? And I think we're starting to see a little bit of what they're made of. This has got to give them that encouragement that it sounds like after we chatted with Brady, most of the fans need. So
Yeah.
I hope you just soaked that up, Sooners.
No doubt. All right. That's all that I've got for the games that we'll talk about. Is there anything that anyone wanted to say about any of the other less competitive games before
We
we
had
move on?
multiple 70s scores.
A lot of points scored this weekend.
And Georgia, I didn't know if you guys were gonna scrape past all.
Yeah, had a 2 hour halftime thanks to the lightning delay too. That was an interesting one. Pick'em standings, I've got 12, Jesse's got 10, Matt has 6. So we're continuing to roll right along. Helmet stickers, Jesse, who are your helmet sticker recipients for the week?
I mean, I think I've got to give one to Shapen from Mississippi State. Again, they needed that, and I'm really excited for them. So he's going to get one of my helmet stickers. The other ones, and it's just because of who I am as a person, and I'm petty and I'm hateful. I'm going to go and I'm going to give my helmet stickers to all of Vandy, all of Mississippi State, because I was the only one to pick those two, and I just like being right.
It was a courageous pick and correct. Matt? What are your helmet sticker recipients?
I'm sorry, I can't tell you about those yet. I'm too busy judging Jessie and her giving out helmet stickers to an entire team's worth of
It's a lot of
players. I
stickers.
mean, listen now, these are valuable collector's items that you're just bandying about like they don't even matter, Jesse. Just thumbing your nose, so to speak, at traditions here at Pigskins and Pageantry. Um, for both of mine, both are quarterbacks. I want to give one to Byron Brown from USF. I know I'm going out of conference here, but huge win, 23 for 36 for 263 yards and a touchdown. Carried a lot of the water when it comes to USF pulling off that upset in the swamp. I know our friends from Florida are not well, but my friends from Florida come close. Listen, it's going to get worse. That being said, next helmet sticker I think we're going to give to Bo Perbula from Missouri, 30 for 39 for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns. Is a heck of a day at the office. I think he's pretty satisfied with that. So those are my helmet stickers.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm going to go with first of all John Mateer at Oklahoma. 270 yards and a touchdown through the air, 74 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And the guy just looks comfortable in big game situations. He even handled the post game interview as you would really want him to as a fan too. I know that's a small thing, but still things that you're kind of looking for in a leader. So also Brennan Thompson, Mississippi State, the recipient of that touchdown catch, and also 6 catches for 133 yards on the game, two
It's a great
touchdowns
day.
total, including that game winner. So. Um, all right, so that does it for our helmet stickers. And now we're going to have an interview with a very special guest. So we'll take a break and come back with that. Welcome back. We are so excited to have a very special guest with us on the show today. And to introduce our guest, I'm going to turn it over to Jesse.
So I know we're going to break a little bit from our traditional programming. Our guest did not play at an SEC school, but we're not going to hold that against him. I'm really excited to introduce a actual colleague of mine and friend of ours in Matt Rea. Matt actually played football at Michigan State as well as in the Canadian Football League. So I'm really excited to dive in, learn a little bit more about not only just the college recruiting process, what potentially things look like as you're looking to go into a draft, into the combine, and then also something that, at least from my own perspective, I don't know a lot about, which is the Canadian Football League and how things work there, how it is to play in there. So, Matt, welcome to the show. Did I miss any crucial parts that I should throw in?
No, you nailed it. Well, actually, technically, I played at UPenn and then transferred to Michigan State. But all part
So
of a great
smart.
journey. So, yeah, yeah,
So like I said, I feel like we're just going to jump on in. We'll kind of start at the beginning of this process. But what was your journey like as far as the recruiting process? How did it feel? When did it start? And how is it maybe a little bit different now than when it was when you played? And if you don't mind, kind of walk us through when you
yeah.
started playing.
So, for me, it was identified pretty early. Like I was a freshman when coaches were kind of, I was tall, right? So I had a big frame, and I played varsity as a freshman, and basically my varsity coach was like, you're going to have the opportunity to play college football if you develop the way that we think you can. Um, so that's just kind of where it started. And back then, it was like you gotta put together a highlight film through DVDs. It wasn't like right now it's Huddle. You upload it all to a website. It's very easy to find film and put together film. But back then you had to hire somebody to do it. I knew someone on the team's dad that put my highlight film together, basically. Um, and it really was at the time back in 2008, 2009. Um, it started with you started getting letters from coaches from schools, and the pool was big. So I got letters from every Big Ten school, a couple SEC schools, the ACC, and that's where it started. And then basically from there, it evolved to this is around junior year, so that's when it was heavy. And then it evolved to you're in class and you get called out of class for a little handshake meeting with a coach. who's visiting and talking to your head coach and basically asking about prospects. Um, and so you could pull out a class, you go shake a hand. There was a lot of pressure put on that handshake because it was their way of understanding how serious you were as a football player. And so, there's a lot of conversation about like make sure your handshake is strong and all that stuff. So, um, yeah, absolutely. Go and talk to a coach for 5 minutes and then, go back to class. Rinse, lather, repeat for weeks on end during the off season. And I know it's changed over the years, but there's dead periods and active periods where coaches can actually come visit um, when they can, contact you and stuff like that. Back then, it was much more simple because they couldn't text you or anything like that. It was all pretty much in person. Um, and then obviously, like throughout your junior and senior season, um, junior season's big, especially for D1, at least at the time. So it was like you got to have a big junior season because you know that throughout the summer is when colleges are going to be making their decision on putting out offers and things like that. So from the handshakes and the meetings in person, it kind of evolves to you're getting invited to games. They bring your family in, you stay on the sidelines and all that stuff. For me, I spent a lot of my junior year. On the Michigan sidelines, which is ironic because I ended at Michigan State. Um, Back when Rich Rod was the coach, they were heavy recruiting me throughout that year. I ended up not getting an offer from them, but they offered preferred walk-on status. Um, but yeah, I went to almost every home game that junior year. So big part of the process. In the summer, you're kind of doing camps and things like that, 1-day camps and other stuff like that. But it really all comes down to putting good film out there. And then, as your year progresses, the sort of some coaches stop contacting you, some are heavy on your trail, things like that. For me, I didn't get any D1 offers, but I still had like D1 AA. And for me, I did well in school, so the Ivy Leagues kind of picked up on that. That's why I ended up at Penn. But my final schools were really like Penn, Harvard, Cornell. Um, that were most interested in me as a player and athlete. So eventually, obviously, I committed to Penn, started there, and was
Remind
playing
us what
defensive end.
position you played, Matt.
Yeah, so throughout most of my career, I was a linebacker, but Penn, they moved me to defensive end. I mean, obviously, like in high school, I played everything from tight end to, fullback, linebacker, whatever it was. Um, and then when I transferred to Michigan State, fullback and the CFL fullback, because the defensive ends in the Big Ten are all 6'5" and 280 and could do backflips. Um, and I'm tall, but not for a Big Ten defensive end. So, um, where do we go from here? Do you want to take a break? I mean, from here, it's MSU to CFL, which is a whole nother piece of the journey.
Yeah, I think my question is how do you decide that you want to transfer? What prompted you to want to transfer and how does that process work? Because now, of course, the transfer rules are very different than they were
Yeah.
then. And we're hearing everybody's transferring. I mean, we talked about it on our show last week of we're watching games and you're no longer hearing this is Tom Thompson. He went to this high school and he's, been at Tennessee for 3 years. You don't hear that.
His major
What
is
you're hearing is this
Yeah.
is Tom Thompson. He played at Miami. Now he's at Georgia, and you're only hearing where they were before and then where they
Yep.
were before that. So it's a very weird place, but I'd love for you to touch on what it's like transferring because I got to imagine there's a little bit of maybe a learning curve as you're going into a new locker room and I'd love to hear what that's like.
Yeah, so I played 2 years at Penn. I played a significant amount my sophomore year. So it was, a fit for me athletically. I was kind of like a rush defensive end. I'd come in on second and long, third down, and they would just say, pin your ears back and get after the quarterback. Played on special teams throughout that year too. For me, it just wasn't a fit, I guess, academically. I struggled a little bit. Obviously, the school was tough, and I'm not dumb by any means, but man, it was tough to keep up. Um, and something just it wasn't sitting right with me, and so I was like, I don't know. I just feel like I gotta find something different. It wasn't necessarily like athletically motivated. I didn't think I like needed to go to a better school athletically. Um, but for me, it just like it didn't feel like a fit, and um, I was unhappy at Penn. So I set my sights on Michigan State, and I knew that again they weren't going to pull me in as a scholarship player, and I knew that I would have to potentially give up the dream of playing football because I was just going to go there and walk on. So obviously after my sophomore year. I applied to Michigan State, got in as a regular student. And transferring at that time was a little bit more taboo, obviously. The transfer portal has opened up things that in ways that are just kind of crazy. But like when I told my coach at Penn that I was transferring, I mean, it was like earth-shattering. It was unheard of. I mean, you would have maybe 2 to 3 transfers a year that would happen in college football. So
Hmm.
I was
That's
definitely like,
insane to think about.
yeah, I was the anomaly at the time to be transferring. So um, yeah, transferred in to state. I was technically ineligible because there was an ineligibility rule when you first transferred in back in the day. So they wouldn't even let me try to walk on my first semester there. They were like, "Well, it doesn't make sense for you to try out, so just come try out in January." Which, like at the time for me, was again earth-shattering because I was like, "Okay, wow, I got a semester just to be a student." So I kind of just like put the blinders on and trained hard and came back in January of 2014, tried out and made the team. So, and yeah, I made the team as a fullback. My first day was in winter conditioning, so 5:30 a.m. workout, show up. Um, and what I thought would be like kind of intimidating, everyone really welcomed me with open arms at State. And I think it was kind of a just a sign of the culture there at the time. They had just come off some interesting years, ups and downs. My first year there was the Rose Bowl year, so um, it was a championship culture, but also the players and the leaders there were like very welcoming. So yeah, I think it was just kind of like a an ode to the culture that had been built over the years, and I immediately would just like kind of felt like okay, this is the place for me. This feels right. So yeah, it was a interesting journey for sure.
Do you feel like you would prefer how things are now with the transfer portal or how they were back? And I say back then as if it were a long time ago. It's not that long.
Might as well be a
Yeah.
hundred years ago with how much has changed.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, how drastically the pendulum has swung in the opposite direction. I don't know because um, I just think like that Michigan State team is not the Michigan State team if transfer portal exists. I mean,
Okay.
you had a team of you know 2, 3, maybe some 4-star recruits that had built themselves up over a series of years, um, and were really dedicated to the program. And now it's much less so. It's like, um, a player is it's more of a I guess mutual relationship where it's like, yes, the college is providing this, but what can the sort of relationship? Again, it's just more mutual. Where back then it was like we were bleeding for this program no matter what. And
Do you feel
second and
like
third
that
string.
helps college football, or do you feel like it's harder and makes it harder on a locker room and coaches?
Jesse
Which
with the
way?
tough questions.
I know. I'm just so interested, just because, right, like as fans, we think about the transfer portal and we're like, this is terrible. Like something has to be done. We have to put rules in place because
Mhm.
you're destroying the continuity. And yes, there's a lot more of any Saturday, right? Any given Saturday, somebody could win because you no longer have these blue blood programs that are getting all these recruits. They're leaving and going other places. You have places like Vanderbilt that are now competitive. So we think of it very differently as fans, but
Yeah.
as a former player, does it does it pose issues potentially for a locker room with continuity and building a system,
Yeah.
or do you think it adds to the competitiveness?
I think that you have much harder time developing relationships, and we're talking about like trying to find continuity on the field. chemistry on the field. Like that has to be built over years. And now you're looking at a state where like any given program could have 20 new players coming in outside of their new recruiting class, right? Like that's a almost half the team and like 40, whatever, like 40% of the team, right? So you're not building those relationships over the long term. And let me back up. When I played, I mean, like I had it was a big deal when walk-ons were allowed into training table to get one meal a day, right? So like that was a big win. It was like, wow, I don't have to pay for my own food. Um, the pendulum has swung so far in the other direction where now you're looking at, I mean, even in the NFL, you've got players who have to sign contracts for 2, 3, 5, 10 years, right? Like that's not apparent in college, and obviously it's a much shorter timeline. You only got 4 or 5 years, but there's much less accountability where, um, the the ability to move around so quickly, I think, is creating somewhat of an environment where players can just like, oh, I'm second string. I'm going to go play for a MAC school or a whatever different conference school, or even like you got players transferring to rival schools. It's like, how could you even do that? I don't know.
I
I
know.
just like yeah, I struggle, and again, it was a different era for sure, and I was a walk on, so I'm coming from a place of like, yeah, I like bled and sweat for that program, and obviously I have a Rose Bowl ring, and I have so many great stories, but like they weren't paying me to be there. So yeah, I think that there was a change that needed to happen. I think that the pendulum may have swung too far. I'm hoping that we can get back to a middle ground, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think we talk about a lot on the show how everybody wants to talk how NIL is ruining everything, but NIL is just a tool to get people to transfer, right? Like
Yeah.
that the transfer portal is to me the problem. And if we have to put some guardrails there, otherwise these young men are going to get to the NFL and they're going to be like, I don't like it here. I don't want to play here. I'm under contract, but you're not valuing me enough. They can't just leave. I mean, you could
Yeah.
quit football. Sure, that's an option, but you can't just say, I don't want to play for the Titans anymore. I want to go to the Rams. And it's like, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So no, I think you make a really good point. There's not a lot of accountability there, because you can just leave. But I think this kind of goes into, as we're talking about the NFL and going professional. Did you participate in the combine? I'm sure you knew people that did. What is it like to get ready for the combine, and how do you prepare not just physically but mentally for that? Because it's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah. So combine, obviously NFL combine invite only. So we had a couple guys go my year. I want to say 3 or 4 players, which was a decent amount for a program.
Yeah.
And then there's pro day, which obviously the school hosts, and that is open to any senior who wants to play or who wants to participate. Now, my senior year, I didn't play a ton. I was backup fullback, played some special teams. Wasn't really planning on doing anything after. I was going to kind of graduate and get a degree in finance, figure out what I wanted to do. Um, that year was the year we beat Baylor in the Cotton Bowl. The night of the game, Benny Fowler, who had graduated a year before, he played with the Broncos. He caught one of Peyton Manning's last touchdown passes in the Super Bowl or something like that. Anyways, great guy. Um, Came up to me and he was like, "Are you doing pro day?" And I was like, "No, what I do pro day? I barely play this year." And he was like, "You are like the perfect archetype for a special teams player. You're like 230, you can run, you can hit. Like that's what they want in the NFL." I was like, "All right." So I thought about it for a couple days. I was like, "Whatever. I'm here anyways for school. I had to finish my classes out for the spring. Um, pro day was in like March." It's like, all right, let's just do this. So I started training at the facility with one of the assistant strength coaches. And then ironically, like a couple days later, so the CFL story is I was born in Canada, so I have dual citizenship. Canada has to have 50% of their roster native Canadians. And so I counted I
Not at all.
counted as a native Canadian. Yep, yeah, absolutely. They try to keep it from being, the NFL
Were you born
feeder
in like
league.
Windsor, Canada?
London, Ontario. So
Okay. I know you
an
live in
hour from
Detroit
Windsor.
now, so I'm like, were you literally born across the river?
Well, yes, farther across the river. But yeah, we moved here when I was very young. Um, anyways, so I hold the native Canadian status. An agent reached out to me, said, "Hey, you should consider declaring for the draft." I was obviously a late declaration. He was like, "I can get you invited to the regional CFL combine in Toronto." It was about a couple weeks after pro day. And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is new." It was like a kind of like a really pivotal point in my career where a few
Yeah.
days earlier I was like, my football career is over. I took the helmet off for the last time. And then all this stuff opened up. And he was like, "Yeah, if you test well, like, you've got a little bit of film out there, like, because you're from a top United States program, the CFL obviously like values that much more because most of the best athletes in Canada play hockey. Sounds ironic and cliche, but it's actually true. So trained for pro day. I did really well at pro day, and I wasn't expecting like to get a ton of interest from NFL teams. Um, because it was just more so like, all right, well, if I'm going to do the combine thing, like let's do the pro day, and then obviously I'll be prepped for the regional CFL combine. Did well in the combine. I think I set the record for most bench press reps, which was unsurprising, 31 or something like that. Um, ran well, moved well. The Bucks, I had a tryout with the Bucks the day after, which was like, oh, this is cool. It ended up not going anywhere, but it was still like, okay, so I piqued a little bit of interest, right? I could at least play in this realm. So CFL Combine, a couple weeks later, I had to do well at the CFL Combine to get invited to the National Combine. Big problem was CFL Combine for the regional was in Toronto. Did well. I got invited to the National Combine, which was literally a day later. So I'm testing everything over a 1 day period and then retesting it like a day later. Um, and CFL Combine, unlike the NFL, you do all of like the 40 drills and bench press and three cone position specific drills, but you also have a day where you're in pads and you're doing like one-on-ones against other participants. So um, that was super interesting. But I did well there. And then again, all like the interviews and stuff like that. So, you go into a room with six coaches and they're asking you everything from psychological questions to, you're getting up on a board and you're drawing out plays and stuff like that. So that
What
was
are the
nerve-wracking.
psychological questions? Give us like,
Oh, I mean, just like, they try to rattle you and um man, I don't even remember. Actually, what stuck out to me was uh when I walked into the room with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, which is who eventually drafted me. Um there's a big whiteboard on the board on the in the hotel room. And they're like, get up here, and they're like asking me to like draw out plays and stuff like that. I was like, I was a fullback, man. Like, I didn't understand the full scope of the offense. Like, I literally like,
A
dude,
gap,
like our
A gap, A
thank
gap,
you.
A gap.
It was like, yo, you're kicking out the defensive end on this play. And if it's a big defensive end, put your helmet into his knee. And if he's a small defensive end, you're gonna actually try and, bowl him over, right? Like, or if this is an ISO play, like, and pass protection is like, hey, check for backside cornerback blitzing. And if they're not there, like, do your little out route. And so they're asking me to drop offensive schemes. And I thought I absolutely screwed up the entire interview. I was like, I don't know what I was talking about. They ended up drafting me, ironically. So that is what stuck out to me. But yeah, it's pretty intimidating. You're walking in there, and I was a 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid at the time, and what did I know about football actually? So
so how
good
does it work
experience.
as far as getting drafted in the CFL? Is it similar process to the NFL?
Yeah, it's similar. So on draft night, um, we had to stream it because like obviously like they do coverage in Canada, but they weren't doing coverage where I was in Michigan. So we found like a streaming service that was actually streaming it. It's on TSN, which is Canada's version of ESPN. And yeah, they've got the ticker going. but it's not like there's not like a big congregation of people. Like the teams are just calling in, and you see like the board update with like, all right, this person drafted, and then the commentators will start talking about it. They go through highlight film, stuff like that. They got coverage from the combine, and I was projected to go third or fourth round. I think there was 8 rounds total, I want to say. And there's 9 teams in the CFL, so whatever that math ends up looking like. Um, but I was like kind of surprised. I was like, sure, I was like, I was backup fullback at Michigan State. I'm sure I'll go third round. And lo and behold, third round comes around and my name pops up on the board. And it was just everybody, I was just like with my family and friends, everybody's like, oh, oh, hey, Saskatchewan Roughriders, like round three, pick 36, whatever it was. I hadn't even received a call yet. Like they didn't call me previously to let me know they were drafting me. It just happened. Um, I was like, whoa, shell shocked. And then a couple minutes later, I get a call from an unknown number. I answer it. The head coach, Corey Chamberlain of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, saying, "Hey, have you ever been to Regina, Saskatchewan?" I don't know if you know that, but that's where the club's based. It's not Regina, it's Regina. That's how they pronounce it.
Of course.
I was like, "Nope." He was like, "All right, see you in a month for rookie training camp." So,
I-
yeah.
So after that, what do you do?
I'd start studying. Well, I had been studying the differences in the game. The fullback position in the CFL is drastically different than a fullback and drastically different than Michigan State, whose motto, our motto in the running back room was pound green pound, right? It was like line up, we're gonna kick you in the teeth, we're gonna run fullback plays. I mean, especially when D'Antonio was there, right? Like we pounded the ball. We pounded the ball a lot. Fullbacks were a huge part of the offense. Um, and in the CFL, it's more of like an H-back where honestly, my rookie year, I lined up more as a tight end or a slot back than anything. And the fullback is actually one of the players that does the most motion. And if you've watched Canadian Football League, you know there's a lot of motion. So you're not just like doing your pre-snap read, you're running back behind the quarterback and also eyeing your guy and um, lining yourself up to make a crack block or things like that. So it was a lot more complicated, but it was actually a little bit more fun. I had slimmed down through my training. So my senior year at state, I played at like 240, right? Typical fullback size. In the CFL, I was 225, much leaner, much quicker. Um, Had to teach myself how to catch a football for the first time in my career because I knew I'd be doing that in CFL. So yeah, it was interesting. A lot of big changes, bigger field, and then obviously special teams is a much bigger part of the game. There's no fair catches, so every punt, every kickoff has to be returned unless downed in the end zone. So yeah, it's
How big is
uh
the field?
it's 110 yards, and then the end zones are 20 yards, and the goalposts are in the middle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's wild.
Is
High
there
scoring game.
yeah, is there any other like notable differences? What's the atmosphere like? I mean, do the Canadians love Canadian football? They love their
Yeah.
hockey, but how
Yeah.
is the fan atmosphere?
So 12 guys on the field is the other huge difference, obviously. And typically it's another safety or another wide receiver, depending on the offensive setup. Um, Canadians, depending on the city. So, like in a city like Toronto, you've got the Toronto Argonauts. There's a lot of other professional sports teams that compete for the attention of the city. So Toronto doesn't get the diehard fans that you'd get in, say, Regina, Saskatchewan, which is where I played. And the Rough Rider fan base is probably the most hardcore fan base in the CFL. And the way it's measured is like who does the best merch sales. And Rough Riders consistently um, are the kings of that. So much so that like someone made a joke that like if you go to any CFL game at any given time, there's always a handful of people wearing Saskatchewan Roughrider jerseys, even if they're not playing. Like it's just like they're like super diehard. They
It's a
cut
great
out.
mascot. It's a
Oh
fantastic
yeah,
name.
yeah. The Roughriders.
Branding's really good.
really great branding, and also the fans. I don't know how this evolved, but they would like the hardcore guys would they hollow out watermelon watermelons and wear them on their heads in the games. I don't know how that even evolved, but they actually had done it for so long that one of our alternate jerseys were like the helmet was like had a design that was meant to mimic a watermelon.
I need that.
Um, yeah, you can
I,
look it up.
I need that merch.
It's wild. But yeah, so the Saskatchewan Roughrider fan base crazy because there's no other professional sports in Saskatchewan. So I came from a place where like Michigan State, obviously big college program. We were super successful, but I was like a guy on the football team at the time, right? Like I wasn't a star. Coming into Saskatchewan where everyone knew me, third round draft pick, fullback, meant to be an impact player. And yeah, it was a lot different. But super cool experience for sure.
How cold was it to play like the winter games in Saskatchewan?
So that's why the CFL, well, there's a couple reasons why the CFL season starts much earlier. It starts in like July, uh, June or July. Mainly because of they get more coverage during the summer from like the ESPNs of the world, right? But also because the season doesn't go as late. Because if you got to play a game in Saskatchewan in October, November, it gets obviously pretty frigid cold. So I think they try to protect against that, so it's not completely unbearable. Because again, if it's that cold, we don't care as players, but fans care. So
Yes.
yeah,
Although if you're in Buffalo, maybe not.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
people are psychopaths to begin with.
I'm
So
just
it's
imagining Saskatchewan fans like Buffalo Bills fans. I don't know why, but that's who I have in my brain right now is Bills Mafia people.
Oh, they're crazy. We lost the first game of the season. Well, we had the worst record my rookie year. That like one of the uh worst records in the history of the program. They were booing us after we lost the first game. It was like hardcore. So you can only imagine after going 3-15 how the rest of the year went.
oh,
Um, yeah, I mean, if you look hard enough, you can find a play somewhere out there where I ended up on the not top 10 for TSN. Um, good luck finding that one.
I got
And
time.
then, yeah, collided with an offensive lineman in the end zone trying to catch a ball. Would have been my first touchdown of the rookie year, man. Would have been great, but no, it was
oh
yeah,
no.
It's not worse than the butt fumble. It's not. There's no.
no. Thankfully, not worse than the butt fumble, but it was yeah, tough year.
What is the Super Bowl of the CFL? Like what
Great
is it?
Cup,
The
isn't
Grey
it?
Cup, Grey
Okay.
Cup, yeah. Yeah, Grey Cup. So obviously playoffs are much shorter. And it's it's broken up into the East and the West. I think there's 5 teams in the West, 4 in the East. So little mini playoff bracket that leads up to it, and then Grey Cup, which is like it rotates, right? It's similar to the Super Bowl where it's based on the team or the city that bids and wins. Um, so yeah.
So I'm gonna go even broader. What's the weirdest or funniest experience you've had with a college coach? Weirdest conversation, whether it be in recruiting, actually playing. What is it? Who really struck you?
Okay, so my my position coach at University of Pennsylvania, Coach Jim Schaefer, he's retired now. He was probably in his late 60s at the time. So he's coaching the D line, and you know, it's hard to pinpoint one conversation, honestly. He was such an interesting guy, and he had this thing where, like, before the last home game of the season. I never made it there because I transferred out. So he would invite all of the seniors to the field the night before and do some very interesting. He had a Native American background, um, Native American, rituals, and the seniors always said it was, the highlight of their career. So Again, I never made it to that piece of the conversation, but yeah, college coaches are an interesting breed, aren't they?
They certainly are. They
Looking at
certainly
you,
are.
Lane Kiffin.
Lane train. The stories that we have of Joey Freshwater. Who had the worst handshake during recruiting? You had a lot
Mm.
on your handshake. Which coach had the worst?
Name names, Matt.
Name
Do it.
name.
So, so most of the coaches were obviously like they knew the deal. There was a coach from a school called Northwood University, which is a D2 school here in Michigan. And I remember their coach I just remember being like, wow, I don't like that guy gives me really soft, I forgot his name, really soft vibes. I was like, I don't want to play for that dude. Like, there's no
Soft
way
hands.
in the hell I want to play. Seriously, I was like a soft handshake. I was like, yeah, dude,
It's
I
like a
don't know.
dead fish.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I don't remember his name, but it was.
It wasn't worth remembering.
I
Uh,
immediately had the. I was like, this guy's not going to win. I don't know.
did you have any SEC coaches? Who were they, and who was your favorite?
No, I don't. I don't even remember. I shook so many coaches' hands. I might have. But it was like every day, new coach. Um, no one in the SEC. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry to let you
Is
down.
is there an SEC coach that you would have wanted to hear from, or you would have been interested in playing for? You can say Nick Saban. It's fine. It's okay.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously Saban.
Obviously.
And I think and it's actually interesting that I ended up at Michigan State because D'Antonio played under Saban, right? So a lot of similarities in the way they coached, and just the hardcore mentality of their coaching and practicing, and um, you know, a lot of times I'd be cursing D'Antonio's name because we're in week 15 of the season and we're in full pads on a Wednesday or a Thursday. And it's like, dude, we got one loss on the season. Like, we're good. We're
Yeah,
good. And then you
they were
switch
not
to the,
soft parents.
yeah. And then you go to the CFL. And I would come from a world where like you earned it every week. And then the CFL, once you get through training camp, it's like, cool. Like, your whole job is to stay healthy. So no one's going to be a hero in practice. You're trying to learn the schemes and you're trying to stay in shape and stay healthy. And it was just kind of like a complete flip of like, this is a mental game. And such a different challenge for sure, though. Whereas obviously Michigan State, it was physical. It was get through, grind through. But yeah.
So if you had a word of advice to tell to an athlete that's, whether they're in high school hoping to play college football, or maybe they're in college and they're kind of where you were, they think that maybe they're going to hang up their helmet and it's going to be over. What advice would you give them?
So high school, I would say like your grades are more important than you think. And again, everyone's going to tell you that, but like that is the whole reason why my journey ended up the way that it did. Like again, I don't get any interest from Harvard or Cornell or Penn without having the grades because of the way that like they have to make offers to it's like a combination of skill level and GPA. Like it's very real. So that's like what got my foot in the door to even play college football in the first place. And like maybe I don't end up at Michigan State that way. Um, and I mean, if you're a walk on, they care even more. But really, it's just about like be the guy that like they don't have to worry about. They don't have to worry about when you get three days off. They don't have to worry about when you win a big game. Um, and like, being in a program with D'Antonio as the coach, like he did not have patience for those types of players who were, again, like getting into trouble or things like that. So he got rid of
Drive
them
your car really
immediately.
fast. Sorry, I had to say that as a Georgia
All
fan.
an Uber.
It's
But yeah, I mean,
sad.
honestly, like control the controllables and, get good grades. And obviously, like when the opportunity comes, you have to seize it. And if you do those things right, that opportunity will come. So.
Well, Wes and Matt Fortin, do you have any question.
I,
Yeah.
Wes, I'm gonna jump in front of you if
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
can, and I hope I don't steal your question here. But Matt, I mean, obviously the game's changed a lot since you did hang up your helmet.
Yeah.
And the role of the fullback has definitely
What
diminished.
fullback?
Exactly my point. How do you feel about that? Like being a former fullback, like in my brain, I'm seeing some old school like 1991, like big giant guy playing fullback, just hitting the A gap just as hard as he can with the ball. Like, how do you feel about how that position's changed or as ceased to exist?
Yeah, honestly, it makes it that much more exciting when I do see a fullback.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I mean, like I don't have like I'm not like upset about it. I think the speed of the game has increased. Offenses have become so dynamic that like you got to get more skill on the field, and like if you're a fullback, like you got to be more flexible now. You got to be able to run routes. You got to be able to block. You got to be again more of like an H back because defenses are faster, offenses are faster, and you just like again, it's just the way of the game. Um, I think it's kind of fun to say that I played fullback because most people like don't even know what that means now. So I'll just tell them like it's kind of like an extinct position, but it's kind of like a slow running back or a glorified guard, basically.
Extinct unless you play at Iowa or
Mm.
some school like
Yeah, exactly.
that.
God
I
bless
do have
Iowa.
I do have one, and I don't know if you know the answer or not, but we were talking about the differences. Why 110 yards? Do we know why that they arrived on that difference? Are they just wanted it to be longer so it would be more intriguing? Like I don't. I'm just
I
curious.
think that so it's longer and it's wider. I forget how much wider, but um, I think it stems from you got 12 players. They
Hmm.
wanted a higher scoring game, so that opens up the field a little bit more, right? And that's also why like the forward motion pre-snap is such a huge factor, where like you've got you've got wide receivers running full speed essentially when the ball is snapped. So cornerbacks and safeties get roasted a lot more. So it makes it more fun to watch.
Right.
Well,
More room to move around for sure. That sounds exciting. I got to watch more CFL, it
You
sounds
know, I was
like.
like,
So
why am I watching the NFL?
well, and so again, it's the level of play is you can tell it's a step down for sure. But you get a lot of guys who might be on the tail end of their NFL career and they come and play in the CFL. So, when I was in fullback in the CFL as a rookie, I'm blocking defensive ends who maybe played 5 years in the NFL or whatever, and super skilled, super big. Um, and I guess like the positive is like if you want to watch football in July, you can watch the CFL.
Hmm.
How can we watch the CFL? Is there just like, is it
I
If
guarantee it's on an ESPN somewhere, like
yeah,
ESPN
not on the
kids.
Ocho? Because this summer we saw air guitar competition.
Oh my
So
god,
not
what
the
are we?
Ocho. Sometimes ESPN
What
too.
are
It
we
depends on what
doing?
else is being covered.
as I
I know
say,
they.
these days
I
with
know they
ESPN
show they
Plus,
show the Grey Cup. I think every
okay.
year. I think it's always
Yeah,
on ESPN.
yeah.
Okay. Well, now I know that I'm going to get a Saskatchewan Roughriders
there you go.
watermelon shirt. I'm going to find it. That just sounds awesome. And I'm going to have to watch because that sounds interesting. I'm going to struggle with the rules a little, certainly.
Just
Um,
enjoy it. Just enjoy the game. Don't worry about the rules. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of rules we could cover, but there's some crazy stuff that can happen in the CFL.
See, we're missing out. We're missing out, America.
Apparently, that
Well,
needs to be our off season podcast. We'll just transition into
Yeah, it
being a
was
CFL
CFL
podcast
podcast. Yeah,
and do. And we've got our foot in the door now.
that's right.
there's probably a market for it. I will say, and if this doesn't spark your interest, I don't know what will. There's a rule in the CFL where if the ball is punted, so like change of possession, or field goal, um, if the ball is downed in the 20-yard end zone or goes out of the back, it's called a rouge, and the kicking team gets 1 point. Um,
I've heard of this.
that's not even the crazy part. There's a rule where if you are the receiving team, someone punts the ball to you and you are in the end zone, and you don't want to say there's 30 seconds left in the game and you're tied or whatever, you're up by one, you're receiving the ball. If you receive the ball and you don't want to down it, you can actually, I'm not even kidding you, this is the craziest thing ever. Jesse, I'll send you the YouTube. You can punt the ball back to the other team
Oh,
in the same play. I'm not even kidding you. So they get possession, but It's I don't it's crazy. I still try to wrap my head around it, but I'll send you guys a highlight.
So
It's
wait,
pretty wild.
so
Sounds amazing.
your receiver there, he's just like, "Ah, man, I don't want to do this. He
No,
has
don't
to
don't
know
try
how
to
to be a
analyze it,
punter.
Jesse. Don't try to unpack it. Just listen. This
I,
this was probably drummed up by some drunk Frenchmen
Is
from
it
Quebec.
is it
I
Yes,
only
guarantee
good?
it.
absolutely.
Absolutely had to be that.
Is it only
they were
good
like,
one
it's kind
time?
of like soccer.
So could it
Yeah.
become like a hot potato? No, you take it. No, you
Yes,
take
it
it.
can. It actually, yes. This play that I'm
Wow.
going to send you, I think it happens like 3 or 4 times. It's like an Argonauts in Montreal game. Um, I forgot when it was
I love the
from.
idea of this.
Yeah, they showed it to us in training camp just because they were like, "This can happen," and I was like, "What are we doing here?"
Did it ever happen while you were playing?
No, no, no.
Okay, I'm so excited to see this, and I am
Yeah.
Yeah.
slowly losing NFL allegiance. Just slowly.
Listen, the NFL is still the league, okay?
It's also the business. Is there as much of like the business aspect in the CFL as there is the NFL?
I mean, from the outside looking in, I don't think anything is a business like the NFL, right? Like, so there's just a lot more money in it.
That's fair. And it's probably just nicer because they're Canadian. It's just,
I
Ah,
just,
yeah, but the French Canadians are kind of assholes.
yeah,
Excuse
well,
my
that's the
French.
French.
Excuse my language.
That's okay.
we've said worse. I guarantee it.
I'm
Yeah,
also
I
picturing
have
a,
this. I have
go
this
ahead.
mental picture of like a guard pulling and kicking out the defensive end. Oh, sorry, bud.
Or like a running back trying to hit the hole and be like, let me just squeeze right past you.
Yeah,
Oh,
excuse me.
I say, oh. I literally said
What
that to
is
Matt on a Slack today. I said, forgot to send that. Oh, because I knew he could appreciate it as a Midwesterner.
I wonder if the play-by-play is something like, "Oh, he got a bad taste of poutine with that one." Okay,
They-
enough Canadian
I
jokes.
need to know what the
Let's get-
Canadian Chris Collinsworth is.
Heavy
That's
on the
all.
Canadian references.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Matt, before we let you go, where can everybody find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they keep up with you? All
Uh, Instagram, I'm probably most active.
right, what's the
Matt
handle?
Ray at 47. Matt Ray at 47. I still got my number on there.
That's David Pollock's old number, Wes.
It
Yeah.
is.
Dave.
Figured into my
Oh,
memory.
David
Ooh.
Pollock. What a guy.
Oh man.
Don't get me into it. Matt, thank you for joining us. I know we obviously talk SEC here, but it's really interesting to get the perspective of someone who went through the process, and the process has changed. So to get your perspective on it, and then also clearly we're excited to learn about the CFL because now you guys are going to get more merch sales from America. That's what I know.
That's right.
At least 3 more.
At least 3
Yeah.
more Roughrider jerseys are being sold.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No problem.
And we will absolutely talk to you very soon.
Thanks for having me, and go green.
Thanks, man.
Wow.
You're supposed to say go white. That's like the thing. It's fine.
Oh,
I
David.
know.
Big 10.
We can't do it. The Big 15 now.
All right, that was exciting. I really enjoyed having Matt on the show and just learning about all things Michigan State and recruiting and CFL, especially the CFL stuff. That stuff was wild.
I told you. It's like I said in the interview. I think it's time for us to start a CFL podcast.
Minute.
We'll have to come up, like, we call it, like, I don't know, poutine and cold weather or something.
Yeah, and
we'll workshop that.
Well, yeah, well, don't worry, folks. We'll get back to you on that.
this is just a brainstorming session. is
Yeah,
all
it's
it
just
is.
brains.
So,
Just throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks.
exactly. So, good stuff there. So let's go ahead and get into our predictions for week 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All
Oh my
right,
God. We call it punts and poutine.
punts and poutine. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
That's much better. It's much better.
All right. First up, for this upcoming, gosh, words are hard. Upcoming
Words
week of
are.
football. Number 13 Oklahoma 2-0 at Temple 2-0 noon on ESPN2. Yeah, I think Oklahoma is going to continue to kind of roll here. I mean, it's against Temple. I got OU here 35-14. Matt, I forgot to go with you first, so let's get what yours is.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm only 1/3 of this whole thing. But anyway, listen. Who loses to a bunch of owls? An owl. Um, I honestly don't know what Temple's best known for here. I just don't see it ending well for them. So I like OU here, 42-17.
All right, Jesse.
Used to live not far from their campus, and I
Oh,
was at their CVS often. But I could go into why they're named Temple, but I will not. I'm going to pick the Sooners in this one, 38-6.
I want to hear that story later, Jesse, just so you know. By the way, I want to go back and change my score real quick. I'm going to say
okay.
42 I'm going to say 42-10 because I forgot about that how good Oklahoma's defense played the other day, and I don't know what this is doing. I'm in
I
the
don't know.
wrong mode. Go ahead. Sorry about
That's
that.
tracking changes in our document.
Yeah,
I'm
that's interesting. It
I'm
still says 42-17, but yeah, we'll
is it? Oh
we'll
no.
get it figured out. It's okay. You can actually just leave it that way, and we can figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Wisconsin,
Technology is hard.
Wisconsin 2-0 at number 19 Alabama 1 noon on ABC. Matt, what's your prediction for this one?
I seem to remember these two teams playing last year, did they not?
Yeah, we
Was it
knocked
last
off
year? I
their
know it was
quarterback.
recent.
Yep, we
Yeah.
Okay.
played at it was a home and home we played
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Wisconsin.
I'm pretty sure Bama won that pretty soundly,
Yeah.
question mark.
Knocked their
Yeah.
quarterback out
Right,
very early.
right. Okay. Well, I don't see that happening this year. I am not sold on Bama in any way, shape, or form. After that debacle that was week one. Now, granted, they beat up on a school last week, but I'm still not sold. I think Bama wins this one, but not by a lot. I say Bama 28-20.
All right. Yeah, Wisconsin has enjoyed wins against Miami of Ohio and MTSU this year, but I think that ends this weekend. I know Bama looked bad against FSU, but I think being at home energizes them against this Wisconsin team. So I'm going Bama here, 31-14. Jesse?
I I'm with Matt on this one. I am slightly triggered by my own team, so I'm gonna pick the Tide, but I also am gonna be a little conservative with my estimate here. So I'm going Bama 28-21.
All right. Next is South Alabama, 1-1 at number 24. Auburn, 2-0. That's 12:45 on SEC Network. Matt, what is your prediction?
Listen now, Auburn, Auburn's got an offense and a quarterback that can play, so sky's the limit. Maybe they'll win the Iron Bowl this year. Sorry,
Just
Jesse.
had to go there.
I had to say it just to get that reaction. I like Auburn 49-14.
Yeah, I mean South Alabama. I'm going Auburn here, 38-10. Jesse.
I am also going to pick the Tigers in this one, 35-10.
Okay, here we go. Number 6 Georgia, 2-0 at number 15 Tennessee, also 2-0. It's 3:30 on ABC. This is that 3:30 slot that used to be CBS's that is now ABC's. So
Wes, didn't we see what in the CBS 3:30 game this week is like Rutgers and
I don't.
who was
Yeah,
it?
it was two.
Like
Yeah,
St. John's or something like that. It was
yeah. It was like,
awful. It was not
oh.
good. It was not
Anyway,
good.
for this one, I think Tennessee has looked like they can do pretty much whatever they want on offense the past 2 weeks, and Georgia's looks pretty sus, especially last week against Austin P. There have been injuries to the offensive line for Georgia, but I mean, you gotta punch it in from the 1 yard line against a team like Austin P and the Governors. I mean, there's no excuse for that. I get it. There are things going on, things that you know can't plan for, but you still just gotta. I mean, come on. You're Georgia going against this team. You gotta punch it in. There's a certain amount of pride there. Stockton and the receivers don't seem to be on the same page. We've had turnover issues. I don't like what I'm seeing, and there's the wishful thinking part of me that just thinks, man, I hope that maybe they're just being super conservative, trying not to put anything on film for Tennessee to see. And gosh, I hope that's it. I hope because it looks pretty bad on film right now. So hopefully that's what they're doing, but I think that might be wishful thinking. So add to that the fact that this is on the road in Neyland. Look, I'm a Dogs fan, but I'm also a realist. I'm going Tennessee here, 28
Oh,
to 24. Jesse?
See, Wes hasn't put his stuff in, so we can't see it until he
yeah,
says
we
it.
have no idea.
Yeah, yeah. It was a battle, but yeah, I gotta be a realist about this one until they show me something different. Jesse, what you got?
I have to agree with you. I had last week not happened, it may have been a tougher choice for me to pick between UGA and Tennessee, but after watching them against Austin P at home, I was like, woof. So I'm going to go with the Vols on this one, 31-21.
All right, we'll see what happens. What?
You didn't ask me, Wes.
Are you serious? Did I do it again?
Yeah, he doesn't want your opinion.
Saving the
That's
best
my-
for last. Okay?
Yeah, right.
What you got?
If I may,
Yeah.
I want to point out this to you. Do you see this? All of this? That is the scene at 3:30 in Knox Vegas on Saturday. Tennessee has looked good offensively. Defensively, they've looked good, but they also haven't played what I would call an elite team yet. Georgia, even though they have struggled, has an elite pedigree. I mean, we're only 3 years away from the last time they won a national championship. That being said, I think, Wes, you were right. I think offensive line is going to play a big part here. I think whoever wins in the trenches is going to end up winning this game. My battered Vol syndrome is saying pick the dogs because I think, your UGA has done this before where they've looked really rough going into the SEC opening play and then they come out and look like world beaters on the very next week. But I'm going to go ahead and go with my Vols. I really need them to win this game. It's been a long time. And in fact, if Georgia wins this weekend, that will be their 9th straight win, which will tie Tennessee's streak in the 90s when we beat Georgia 9 times in a row. And that's the only thing I have left. That's the only thing with that rivalry I have left holding on. And I live in Georgia. I need this win for Tennessee like I need air. So I'm going with the Vols. I'm saying 31-30. And I think it'll probably look a lot like Bama did a couple years ago with a really late kick.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, next is Louisiana 1-1 at number 25. What did you do to that? Did somebody do?
That might have been me. I don't know.
That's why I looked at it and I was like, I don't know.
Mig Mayor, sorry.
It's supposed to be. Sure.
It's like someone had a stroke when they were typing that.
Louisiana at Missouri,
It's a
number
joke
25.
that I don't get.
It is 4 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Matt, what's your prediction for that one?
Listen, Drinky again. It's Collaboration Friday. It's Teamwork Tuesday. It's Collaboration Wednesday. Like, he's got his thing, and it's working. It's working right now. So I'm gonna say Missouri 49-17.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm going to go Mizzou here, 38-10. Jesse?
Hopefully, it is third down conversion Wednesday for them this week, so that they can have a successful Saturday. Got it finally.
There it was.
I'm going to pick the Tigers in this one. I think Mizzou takes it 45-28.
Mig Missouri. All right. Next is UTEP 1-1 at number 7, Texas 1-1, 4:15 on SEC Network. Matt, what you got here?
Listen, Archie kind of bounced. Archie's his grandfather. Arch kind of bounced back last week. So I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about the trajectory of Texas. I like Texas in this one, 33-10.
Yeah. I'm going Texas fairly big here. I'm going Texas 45-7. Jesse?
I agree. I think the Longhorns got this one 38-6.
All right, next is Alcorn State 0-2 at Mississippi State 2-0, 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Matt, what you got here?
Did you say Acorn State?
Alcorn? I might have said Acorn State, but yeah.
No, you didn't say Acorn State. I was making a really bad joke. Listen, that's where the Chipmunks got their degree from. I like Mississippi State here. They're on a little bit of a roll. I think they win this one pretty handedly, 28-10.
Yeah, I'm excited about the prospect of Mississippi State starting 3-0. I'm going Mississippi State here, 56-6. Jesse, what do you got?
Oh my gosh, we're rooting for you. The only time I root for Bulldogs. Okay, I am also going to pick Mississippi State in this one, 35-9.
All right, next, Arkansas 2-0 at Ole Miss, number 17. 2-0, 1-0 in the SEC, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Matt, what you got here?
This is an interesting matchup. I'm very curious to see what this is going to look like. I feel like Arkansas and Kentucky kind of right now are kind of in the same tier. I think Ole Miss might be a little bit ahead of them. But Arkansas could find a way to win this thing. but I think they're going to come up a bit short. I think Lane wins this one 27-14.
All right, yeah, I want to pick Arkansas here just because, but I got to go with Ole Miss at home. I'm going Ole Miss 35-24. Jesse?
I'm going to keep on the Ole Miss train, on the Lane train. I am going Ole Miss 31-24.
All right. Let's see. Next is Florida 1-1 at number 3, LSU 2-0, 7:30 on ABC. Matt, what you got?
Brian Kelly has a really bad habit of losing games he's supposed to win handedly.
Ooh.
We have seen that happen. Florida is coming off a really, really bad loss. Let's be honest here. They should have won that game. No disrespect to the South Florida Bulls. However, I just have the sneaking suspicion this is a trap game for LSU. I know it's at night. I know it's in Baton Rouge. I know Death Valley at night's a different animal. I think Florida finds a way to win this ball game somehow. I'm picking Florida 28-27.
Wow, can you imagine Florida? Yeah, Florida's going to be looking to bounce back for sure. This is going to be one of those night games in Death Valley. You just talked about that. I think LSU's defense is going to be able to get after Lagway a little bit in this one, and I think Nussmeier is going to be able to do just enough to get LSU a win here. I'm going LSU 34-24. Jesse?
I agree with Wes on this one. I don't think I can pick against the Tigers in Death Valley after we've established that it's the real Death Valley. So I'm going to pick LSU here 24-21.
Okay, all right. Next, we've got number 16 Texas A&M 2-0 versus number 8 Notre Dame 0-1, 7:30 on NBC. Matt, what you got for them?
Notre Dame played Miami. They looked okay. I think Notre Dame's maybe in the ballpark. I think they're going to find a way to win this thing, probably late. I like Notre Dame here 2014.
Yeah, Notre Dame's losses to Miami on the road 27-24, so respectable. A&M has shown that they've got some flaws so far this year, and although I expect them to be in this one, I'm going to go with Notre Dame here 27-17. Jesse, what you got?
I'm going to be contrarian. I just changed my pick, so I'm going to be very contrarian at this point. I'm going to pick Texas A&M in this one just to continue being
a
rascal. So I'm going to go with the Aggies in this one, 28-27.
All right. Jesse's just looking for every excuse she can to talk bad about Notre Dame. It's because you're a Notre Dame hater, Jesse.
They're playing Texas A&M, so it's a lose-lose for me here.
It's true.
That's fair. But Jimbo's not there anymore. What do you got to complain about?
Fair. It's a Colt.
Eastern Michigan 0-2. Yeah, we talked about that this weekend too. At Kentucky 1-1, 7:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Matt, what you got for this one?
Woo, Kentucky bouncing back. They're going to find a way to win this one though. 35-14.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly different by 1 point. I picked Kentucky 34-14. Jesse, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the Wildcats on this one in a close one, 24-17.
All right, and then finally, Vanderbilt 2-0 at number 11, South Carolina, also 2-0, 7:45 on SEC Network. Matt, what you got here?
I have a question. Why are we kicking off a game in South Carolina at 7:45? That seems really late.
It does seem really late.
Like, why are we playing that so late? Listen, I like Carolina here. Vanderbilt has shown some promise here and there, but let's be honest here. It's Vanderbilt. So I'm going to go with Carolina 24-21.
Yeah, the clash of the undefeateds at Willie B. This one's a bit of a coin flip game for me. I like both teams. I think they're kind of similar, actually. You got dynamic quarterbacks on both sides, make plays with their legs and their arm. I think at the end of the day, being at home will provide just enough good juju for South Carolina to get it done. So I'm going South Carolina here, 28-24. Jesse?
This one was a toss-up for me, but it's in Columbia. So I'm going to go with the Gamecocks here. Again, also picking a close one. South Carolina, 27-21.
All right. Well, that does it for the upcoming games. Really great episode. Really enjoyed talking to Matt as well. If you guys would like to contact us, please hit us up on email at pigskinsandpageantry@gmail.com. We're at Pigskins and Pageantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We're at PPSEC Podcast on Twitter. And don't forget...
Jackwagon, you got me.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Just trying to throw you off there. We are available for download on pretty much every platform out there. So please, if you enjoyed the show, subscribe and review. 5 stars. We'd love a chance to that boosts us and gives us more of a chance to talk to more wonderful people like yourselves. So, hey, there's some good matchups, and hey, even though I'm not feeling super confident, I'm still going to say go Dogs.
Clean up the penalties. Learn how to convert on third down. Roll Tide.
Dear 8-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus, please let my Vols win on Saturday, and I promise I'll stop cussing. Go Vols.